Okay, so hi brothers and sisters, and welcome to our final video or to my final video for the project for database administration. So the first thing that will suggest me to do through our scenario, like we're gonna go through step by step how to demonstrate this final video. The first thing I would like to create is a Linux VM instance. Uh, so here is the VM instance that I created through compute engines, and I named it with a file name project Calliope, and the zone would be US Central F, and even even I made all of the requirements for this instance to make it very low cost, very low cost. So here are my details for this instance, and I made it with a machine type E2 small, and here's our external IP address, and here is our container. And here are the details for the boot disk. So as you can see, here are the information for boot disk. Plus, okay, so here are my details for this instance. For creating an instance, so first of all, we are going to click on create instance. Okay, so on for the name, we are gonna name it final instance, and our last name. So basically, oh, so basically, we are gonna use a slower, but for now, I don't know what's the difference between these zones, but what I did is I went through the US Central 1F. Here comes to the machine configuration, and leave that by default. And we are going to choose for E2 small. And then deploy a container, which is adding in the just adding in the MCR Microsoft.com, my MS SQL Server, and 2009 latest, and select it. Then we select, and now we have our container inside the container image. Now the next step, we are going to go through change for boot disk. We're going to go through boot disk and select that by standards, and then 10 gigabyte minimum, and then select. And then the other options to make this a very low cost is go through the advance and then management. Okay. Um, okay, so another thing is we go to availability policy and click on spot, and now we can see our new cost, which is $4.70 and 7 cent. So that's how we create my instance. And now um, for the um, benefits for the VM instance is that I know that software is co-separate from physical host computer users, and can run multiple operating system instances on single piece of hardware, saving a company time, management cost, and physical space. And now we are going to connect to our SSH by clicking this button. So here is my Docker container that I created through port 43499. So I have to create a firewall for this port so that our instance can connect with this port inside the MySQL server. And here is my the name of my container. And so basically by creating a container or creating creating uh, uh creating a Docker container, we are gonna use this command, docker run, and basically this is a SQL Server account that we are going to create through this port of 43499. So here is the port, and so basically the reason why we're using Docker container because these container and creating images specifically, you can create an image that shows exactly what you want your virtual machine to look like. In this case, a Docker image, and it tells that we want it to look like a certain thing. We want it to include a certain set of software, like the Microsoft server, and SQL Server software, and it allows us to create that image so that we can come along and recreate the same container over and over again quickly and easily. And another thing is container allows us to move things around relative quickly. You can copy from one place to another. It also allows you to make a copy of an existing container. to make your modification, like you want to update an app, to make your modification in the new container, leaving the old container alone, so that it sits there and it does its job. And then only when the new version is up and running and ready to go, do your switch over to a new container. And it allows you to keep things compartmentalized. Let's say that the new app fails. You don't have a situation where you can go back to the old app since you overrode it. You simply just close the shutdown or shut down the container that isn't working, then spin the old container, back it up. Less downtime, higher availability, and makes for a better experience for the end user. So that's why we use Docker. The Docker name that I created is Reverend Solomon. So here we go. And for the next step we are looking forward to is moving our backup file to our database. So we are gonna, by using that, we are gonna use upload file and then choose file. And then here I'm looking for Pokemon backup file, and then we press on that, and then open, and then we click on upload file. So it takes a lot of time to upload. So as we can see here, I have some 3 failed upload Pokemon backup file. So here is my 3 failed, but here is the complete one. So, and then we are gonna make a copy through the home root directory for that database by using this command, docker, then cp stands for copy, and then the name of the file, and then the name of the Docker container, and through the home directory of that Docker container. So to make sure, we must include the strings, like the parentheses in and the name of the file, because if we don't include that, since the reason why we include that, because of the brackets and the 3, it can't run without a parenthesis. And now we are going to connect through our database that we created by using the same IP address of that instance and the port 43499. And now we are going to restore our database of Pokemon inside this system administration database. For this instance, we are going to go through database and then right click and then go on store database. As we can see here, I already restored the Pokemon backup file, and then now we are going to click on device and then click on here and then add. And then we are gonna look through home directory, and here is my file that we copied inside that SSH active shell. Then that's how, and then we click on that. Then we click on that backup file. And then okay, and then okay. It's quiet, take a lot of times, depending on the computer that we used. So now here is the name of our database that we wanted to add in through our database. Okay, so that's how we restored our database through our backup file through our database. Now we can see that it's already contained our backup file that we restored our Pokemon final database. We successfully restored it in our system administration SQL server. And now we are going to create a schema, two schemas that suggest us to create. So we come to to the database and then go through the security and then open schema and then create it by right click and add in new schema. So the new schema that I created, the two new schema that I created is professor and trainers. And then we add in professors and trainers. So after we enter the name and then we click OK, and then that will automatically create our trainers. And I have easy way or command that helps me to create two schemas. So here it is. So we just use the database and then the create schema professor and create schema trainers. So now we can see here that we have our two schemas, professor and trainers. And then another step that it suggests us to do is moving two tables of our choice through professor and trainers through trainers and professor schemas. By doing that, here is my here is my command that I use to forward and or transfer tables through professors schemas and trainer schemas. So auto schema professor transfer nature battle style preference. So here we go. We can see here that I already successfully transfer tables through these schemas of professor and trainers. And another step, that is, we are going to create a new login user through this database administration. So by doing that, we are going to go through we are going to close that out, to the security of the database and then the logins. So new login. So creating a new login, we are going to right click and then go to the new login and add in our final test user. So basically I added in this one because it successfully created, but for this one I failed creating it. So then we add in our name that we want for our login to be with, like, and then add in the password and then press OK. So here is my new login final test user. And for the next step, we are trying to transfer on or modify this final test user, that can only see the professor table or schemas. So by doing that, we are going to go through the system administration and then go through Pokemon database and then security, and then we add and go through schemas, but make sure that these users are able to go through this database that allows him or that user to go through Pokemon final database. By doing that, we are going to go through the security of this database, of this whole database, of this system administration, and then we edit it through there that allows him to see the database, the Pokemon database. And then by adding a modification that he can only see professor, we are going to go through the database, the Pokemon database, and then come under security and go through schema. And then as we can see through professor, we right click and then properties, go to the properties, click on properties. I don't know why it took so long to load. Okay, so then we come here to the permission. And search button, and then we click on the user and then OK, and then we find the object name, like the actual, like either table or schemas. Yeah, or to find the actual user that we want that we want to that we want it to um, take control on that database or on that schemas or only this professor schema. So and the easy the easy command that I suggest that I created to is using current select statement on schema of professor and then send it to the first or the final user. And then if we check the final test user and go through the database, now we can see that it has this or he can only access through professor schema and the tables, but not all the database or the tables of Pokemon Final. So this is one of the most data security or data protection that we can set up for all the users on the SQL server. And it is very awesome to have these skills for letting user or limiting the user that can only access only that schemas or tables. Okay, so that's how we send schemas um to the to the user that he can only see only that schemas, professor schemas, and that table. So yeah.